I was very concerned by what I saw, and I remain concerned. The reason why I've apologised is because I accept that X or social media is not the appropriate forum to have that concern. I also think an open letter from the Commissioner also wasn't necessarily the appropriate forum, but I'm glad we've resolved that now. I've asked the Commissioner for a meeting, and I'll be taking those conversations up in private.
So you do still think that it looks like the police were heavy-handed, even though there was a man with a knife running along a British high street?
I think it's important to say that officers are incredibly brave when they run towards situations that most of us, including myself, will want to run away from. I also accept, as an elected member of the London Assembly, and in fact as a police and crime committee, that it's important that everyone who works in public service, including people who are being brave, should not be above scrutiny. And so I think it's important that I have that conversation with the Commissioner, and we always make sure that action's proportionate, no matter how brave.
But do you think that it was proportionate? I mean, everyone's seen the video, everyone's seen the pictures from all sorts of angles, because that's how things often happen in 2026. Do you think it was proportionate? Well,
the first thing I'd say is I'm not sure everyone has seen the video, because the video is so graphic, potentially understandably, and that's the conversation, that I don't think it's always been shared. That being said, I accept that social media is not the forum, and I don't think, sadly, national broadcast is the forum either. I need to have that conversation with the Commission.
Do you think that the Prime Minister is correct to say that saying or chanting "globalise the Intifada" is racist?
No, I don't think that's correct. I think it's important that we make sure that we have freedom of speech in this country and freedom of protest. We've seen a genocide that's been going on for years in Israel now, of which our government is not just complicit, but actively selling arms and intelligence. And I don't believe policing people's language is what's going to prevent, is going to make Jewish safety any better in this country.
But that phrase is widely considered by many Jews and many not Jews to be inciting violence, as we were discussing with Heidi Alexander. It originally referred to an uprising against Israeli occupation back in the 80s. But you know that many people believe now, in the context in which we live, that it is something that is dangerous, insightful, trying to provoke aggression towards the Jewish community. You just dispute that?
Well, I think there's two important things there. So the first is that occupation is still ongoing. So if people are talking about ending the occupation, then that conversation is very clearly still live. The second thing, though, is there are already crimes against hate crime, against anti-Semitism. And so I think it's important where people are committing a hate crime, they are arrested for that. I don't think we need to create new laws. I think what we need to do is make sure that people have the freedom to protest in the appropriate way. It's an important cornerstone of our democracy. And when people are protesting, they make sure that they're not anti-Semitic and that they're very clear that the actions are protesting the actions of the Israeli government.
But a politician you admire very much, Zoran Mamdani, the new Democratic mayor of New York, he has said he would discourage the use of that phrase. Would you discourage the use of that phrase, even if you don't think it's racist, you don't think it should be outlawed, which many people watching might think would be draconian, but would you do what Mamdani has done and discourage the use of it? Because you know many people find it offensive.
I think these things are contextual. It's not a phrase I would use personally, and that's because I think if there's other phrases you can use or other ways to do things,
but would you
then why not just do them
from
easier?
Using it?
Well, because I want people to be more effective, so I wouldn't encourage people to use it, because actually I think you can make your point a lot more effectively and not get into this conversation about language. The point, though, is if people are traumatised, they're really, really passionate about the injustice they're seeing. I don't think the conversation that we should be having is about people's use of language.
But words
I think it should be about the people who are dying.
Words do matter. Words matter significantly. Words matter very much. You've said hate crimes where they happen should be prosecuted. Many of those forms of crimes are about language. They are about hate, and they are about people who express themselves.
Words matter, but the tens of thousands of Palestinians who have been murdered, people in Lebanon who have been killed, these people matter too. And I think if people want to protest that, it's important we defend their right to protest. Yes, I do encourage, to give you a more direct answer, the use of the phrase, but I'm not interested in trying to police people's language.
Do you think your party takes anti-Semitism seriously enough?
Yes, as I've said, it's not an abstract idea for me. Jewish safety and making sure we tackle anti-Semitism is incredibly important. Now, I'm not saying that we've got it right. I don't think any party has, because anti-Semitism exists in society, as does Islamophobia and many forms of racism. And it's important that every political party is always working to bring more training and better vetting.
There are repeated incidents, though, of Green Party candidates running for election right now who have expressed anti-Semitic views. 2 of them have even been arrested. So if someone has written online that Israel was to blame for the Bondi Beach attack where Jews were killed in Australia, are they fit to take office?
I think that's an unacceptable comment. It's important that I don't comment on individual disciplinary processes, but I understand you're not asking me about that.
I'm not asking about individual cases. Is somebody who expresses that, or somebody who says that Jews are cockroaches, or somebody who shares claims saying that Jews are commanded by the Old Testament to kill children, are people who express those kinds of views. Are they fit for office? Should they be running as candidates in your party?
No, absolutely not. And as a Jewish person, those comments disgust me. It's important that we let the disciplinary process take its place, and that's exactly what we have.
Why are there people then on the ballot for the Green Party who have expressed those sorts of views if you say they shouldn't be running for office?
Well, as you know, when people are on the ballot paper from nomination day, it's impossible to withdraw them.
But
just
some of
because
these concerns were flagged before that. You're right, sometimes parties find out about things after the event, but some of these things were flagged before the ballot papers were printed. Some of these candidates are still running as part of the Green Party with people campaigning for them around the country.
I don't know about those individual cases in terms of that being flagged, but let me answer more widely. I think we clearly do need to have a better vetting process, and that's something I've taken away from this election.
So do you have a problem with anti-Semitism in your party?
I think there's a problem with anti-Semitism in society. We have 4,500 candidates. We have a handful of cases where anti-Semitism has been accused. One case is one case too many. But I don't want to do whataboutery, but you have Nigel Farage, who has 20 people saying as a child he made some pretty anti-Semitic...
You
and
say
he's evaded
you don't want
scrutiny
to do
today.
whataboutery, and then you mention another political leader. And of course, we will talk to all the political parties about these issues, and we have talked to Reform about it on other occasions. But do you believe that you have a particular problem with anti-Semitism in your party?
No, I don't believe we have a particular problem compared to wider society and other political parties.
In terms of those candidates who have been discovered to have expressed views like that, would you tell people here today, don't vote for them, they don't stand for you?
That's right.